Hello. I'm here. How y'all doing? Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for taking the time out to hang out with me this afternoon, this evening. Uh, Today it's midnight here. I'm in Spain. And hi everyone. I am Yolanda and I am locating cozy and this is a broad chat. So today, um, I'm just honing in on my interview skills, and I have a very awesome guest that's coming on. But before we get started, I like to say a few things and do some announcements and all those good things. So first, I just wanted to say, please do make sure that you do like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you will know whenever I do go live or whenever I do post or upload any videos or have anything really intellectually wonderful to share. I don't know. Yeah. So, anyways, today, hold on, I'm getting my notes up here. Multitasking is something not a strong suit today. Anyways, so today, I am bringing on someone who is like 12 hours away from me. Okay. And I want to thank you so much. I put out the call for people to come and be interviewed on a broad chat with Locating Cozy. And Melanie said, "I will do this. I think this is a great idea." Hi, Melanie. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous.
Great, great. What time is it? Okay, first of all, let's go back up a little bit. Where are you at right now?
I am in a suburb of Christchurch, New Zealand. It's called Sumner. It's a
Sumner.
little
Okay.
community.
And so you just decided to just kind of head out that way, or what brings you to
So
Sumner?
I'm house sitting. So I am an international house sitter. And I've been here for this is week 4, and there's one more week, and then I head out. There's 2 cute little babies here behind me. So if you hear them decide they want attention, one of them may jump up. They're here. But one of the ways that I kind of travel on a budget is by house sitting.
Okay. Okay. Well, again, I thank you so much. So it's like afternoon on Monday right now for you. It's midnight here in Spain, in Zaragoza, Spain. And purposefully, I did this on purpose, is to start trying to do lives at 5 o'clock Central Time, Texas time, Central Standard Time in the US, because I wanted to do my best to maybe be the encouragement for the Black women in this community to be inspired to do something different, to make the next move that's going to bring them some joy. So before we get started, I have my two favorite questions that I like to put out here and share. Well, yeah. So one is what's going on in my world and what's going on in your world. So I'm gonna go ahead and catch y'all up on what's going on in my world. A little entertaining too, but so last week my washing machine broke. I think that actually. Wow, yeah, that was last Sunday. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Anyways, my washing machine broke last week, earlier this week, and the landlord is very nice, and she actually already ordered a new washing machine. Don't know when it's going to be arriving, but it's on its way. So I had to I had to go to the laundromat here in town, and to do that, it was like almost a mile away, about a mile away, maybe not quite a mile. I think it's like half a mile away. Anyways, I had to get my cart, which everybody in Zaragoza, basically, if you don't have a car, you have a cart that you take to go to the grocery store and things like that. And so I went, and the crazy thing is, it was so much easier because I do have a dryer or like a what is that, the two-in-one washer dryer,
Mm.
but the dryer here is like some tiny. So I went to the laundromat for the first time here in Zaragoza, and quite frankly, I liked it. I liked it because I had not been able to just like I don't really use the dryer here at my place. So I just kind of hang stuff, and the balcony isn't big enough to actually have like a line or anything where you like they let their clothes dry outside here, or on the lines here. So anyway, I went to the laundromat. I put my clothes in the dryer, and it felt good to like have everything done. It was expensive as hell, but I had everything done within like an hour and 30 minutes. I had like 3 loads of laundry done, and that I know it's. I don't talk about big, great things that are going on in my world because it's not that exciting. But to me, that was awesome. Okay, because Melanie's looking like that. Really? Okay.
No, I've been there. I've been there.
The excitement of my world. That's this is my wonderful boring life. The excitement was that I went to the laundromat and I was able to like like have nice soft fluffy warm towels and not just have it dry like out on the line, and then my towels get hard. They get kind of hard from
Mhm.
the line dry.
Mhm.
And what's going on in your world, girl? Okay.
Well, other than house sitting, um, these two kind of go together with the how to, well, okay, no, I'll tell you this part and then I'll tell you the other part. So
Okay.
have I have branded myself as Miss Melanie's World, and I have put together a website and set up YouTube and Instagram. It's all very new. And I've been
Okay.
working like a crazy person for the last week to get everything up and running and in its place, because it's time to get out there and start sharing 21 years of experience in these international streets and helping people get out of the United States. So
Big
that
goals,
is
big goals. You didn't share with me. Please do put your because you gave me your Instagram, which I will put that in the it's in the description already.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
um I had your Instagram and your YouTube. I didn't have your website. You just finished your website?
The website is it's yes, it's there's still some other stuff we want to add to it, but it's up and it's Miss Melanie's dot world. And so that's it. That's the
Okay.
website. All one together, Miss Melanie's. No.
Okay. If you can drop it in the private chat, I can actually post it right here because it's like I want to make
Okay.
sure I'm including that. So just yeah, do me that
Let me make
favor.
sure I don't actually exit the whole
Oh yeah, then don't do that. Don't do anything to mess it up. Hold up. Okay. We'll get that information to y'all in a little bit. Okay.
yeah. So getting that up and so that I can set up and answer people's questions. Um and it was a challenge. And yeah, so that is what's new for me and what's going
Okay.
on in the world and what I'm excited about. And I guess the other thing I would add is like I spend a lot of time kind of playing games on uh on my iPad, and I have just not had that time this week and I haven't missed it. So that was exciting and interesting. So
Wow.
that's what's going on in my world.
So before we get to go on to my big question, my infamous question, I did want to just go ahead and say hello to some women that are actually some people that are actually joining us. And I wanted to say hello to Miss Aileen. How we just like finished our whole group chat, and we were on there for a while. So Sunday has just been a day of dedication, like between okay, well, actually, locating my cozy. I don't know if that comes with it, but okay. So my daughter was just interviewed by Rashida earlier today. My daughter that's here in Zaragoza. So I guess that's part of also what's going on in my world. It's not my world, but I'm claiming it because I gave birth to her. So that was just really excited. Anyways, and then afterwards, again, me and Aileen and um, me and Rhonda, we were all in the group chat afterwards, just talking and sharing, and you know, uh, just sharing. Rhonda's the one. Actually, Rhonda's in New Zealand. That's what I was telling you. That's in New Zealand right now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not. So here's the thing. It's not the same thing. It's like when somebody says, oh, you're in the, you're in the United States or you're in Texas. Just because I'm in Texas doesn't mean we're going to be actually able to meet up because Texas is huge. So,
Mhm.
but I got excited when when Rhonda said she was in New Zealand. I was like, oh, you got to meet Melanie. And as I'm saying it, I'm like, girl, I looked up where you, not even close. Like, yeah, not close at all. But I was like, but they're right there.
But
It
I
made
do
sense to me at the time.
I do have to I will be taking a train into Auckland and flying out of Auckland. So I will be in Auckland next week.
Okay, okay.
It's still there. Let's have coffee.
So maybe it is good. Maybe it is good. And hello, Butterfly Effect. Hello, thank you for joining. I do appreciate you. Hello, Rosalind. Not before 10. I still love that name. That's so cool. And hello, Michelle. Thank you for joining. I really do appreciate you guys coming in. So one of the questions, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Hello, Cynthia, and hello, M. Watson. Of course, yes, I just want to make sure I try my best to acknowledge because y'all are taking the time to come and hang out with us. Okay. So one of my favorite questions, one of the things I always just have to ask, because I want to know that you are just striving and just doing your best. So please do tell me, how are you locating your cozy? What are you doing to put yourself first and to make yourself just know without apology that you deserve the very best of yourself? Yeah, you deserve the very best. You deserve a break today.
Hmm.
These
Well,
commercials coming in. So yeah, okay. I'm like, what's this restaurant? Anyways, so you start first. Please do share with me. What are you doing? How are you locating your cozy?
so like I said, I was building the website and I'm gonna do it myself, right? And I had done a website years ago by myself. But this time I was like, it's too much, and I'm not where I was when I built that site before. So I hired a VA, and that was me taking care of me. And she got so much more done in such a short amount of time than I would have gotten done, and it's so much better quality than I would have done. So I really feel like working, like actually investing in my mental health was by hiring a VA. And I suggest those of us that are like I'm doing it by myself, maybe you should locate your cozy and get assistance and hire a team
That
because
peace of
that's it.
mind.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I hear what you're saying. I'm still kind of hard headed because I need to do my locating cozy website, and I've just had other things going on. And in reality, yes, I should be actually off. Like having like what do they call it? Uh, I can't think of the word when you are delegating. Yeah, delegating. Yeah, I needed to
Mhm.
like delegate that out to somebody else, but I haven't
Mhm.
done it yet. But for
Mhm.
me, it's like almost like some kind of weird challenge to me and stuff. But I will get there. Much respect to you because yeah, I'm a little bit hard headed on some things and stuff, and I can see it. I know like if I just had because my son-in-law actually did my accounting website about a year and a half ago, and it was so great just to have it done. But sometimes I am hard headed. Okay, so don't listen to my own advice sometimes.
Look, I'm so hard headed. I didn't believe a map. Okay. I was in Nice walking around and I was like, this map is wrong. And went this way and that way. And then about 20 minutes into it was like, maybe the map isn't wrong. But yes, I am a
Yeah.
tourist and I am hard headed to the point where it's like, I didn't believe the map. So if
I
you can
think I
relate.
argued with Google on the streets when I first got here, not realizing. I was like, so what I didn't know when I moved to Spain is that the street names they're not like on poles on streets. They're on the buildings. And so when Google was telling me to turn, I was like, this thing doesn't know what it's talking about. I didn't realize that the street names are on the buildings, and I was like mad with Google. I was like, you're wrong. You're absolutely freaking wrong. Okay.
Mhm. And then kind of, maybe I'll believe Google. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
figured
don't
it
think
out.
I've told too many people that story because it's kind of embarrassing for me. Um, how am I locating my cozy? Right now, this past weekend, Saturday, yeah, actually, yeah, Saturday. I got up and I walked 4.5 miles. This is good just because I had been gotten kind of a little, I don't want to say lazy, but I guess it was a little lazy. Because my excuse before was that because I had hurt my leg really bad when I fell a few weeks ago. But I was like, girl, you stopped walking before that. Um, but I've actually made efforts this week to really make sure I'm walking. And so I've done like maybe 3 miles one day, 2.5 miles. So yesterday I went to the farmer's market down by the cathedral, and so it's, I can't wait for everything to get lit up here in Zaragoza because they have like the holiday market and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, but I walked all the way there, which and then I walked back, and because on the way back I was like, no, you're gonna catch the tram back, but I actually walked back, and it felt great. It felt really, really great. Um, and so I'm it's baby steps, but I'm proud. I'm very proud of myself that, yeah, I did 4.5 miles, and my body was kind of hurting afterwards, but yeah, I did the 4.5 miles. Now I didn't walk anywhere today. Okay. No, I didn't do anything today. Yesterday
Mhm.
was enough. But yeah, that felt good. So ladies, please do share when you have a chance to share how are you locating your cozy? What are you doing for yourself? Okay. I Please be selfish about what's important to you. It's okay. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if anybody has already put. You didn't believe the map. No. Um, she said, Alien said Google Maps gave me trust issues with their driving directions, so I really didn't trust it guiding me in international locations.
Yeah.
So today, okay, so before we get started, please do share a little bit more. Can you give us a little brief intro about Melanie? I have a whole bunch of questions, just FYI, but please do.
Okay. Just like basic, I was born in San Francisco, so my family is in the Bay Area. Raised in Seattle, so friends from high school and university are there. I lived in Germany for a year when I was 21. Uh, and then I moved to the south of France for 14 years when I was 37. Speak French, understand German. It was living in Germany that where I got bit with the travel bug. And actually, I'm not even going to call it the travel bug. It's the get out of America bug. like,
So,
um,
what brought you to Germany?
I went to Germany. I went to Bible school in Germany. So I had a friend who went to Bible school in Sweden. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to go to Europe. And so, but I didn't want to go and have everything be compared. So I didn't choose Sweden. And I just left it open with the other ones. And so I got Germany. And so I was in the southern part of Germany, and I had an absolute wonderful time. Now, I grew up in so mixed race. My mom's also mixed race, but yeah. So anyway, um, I grew up with "I wish your hair was like mine," and "I wish you didn't have my nose. I wish you had my nose," and so I went to Germany with some issues about the way I look. And I
Mhm.
came back from Germany like, people are spending millions of dollars trying to burn their hair like this, and they are spending millions of dollars trying to get skin like mine. I came back from Germany like loving who I was. And so, but when I landed back in the States, you could just feel the agreement of racism. It just landed on me like a wet wool blanket. And I could just feel it. I landed in the New York in the New York airport, and I just was like, oof. And I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, and I used to say, just fly me over Europe, drop me out of the plane. I will adapt. I will learn the language. So
So, okay, so you were in you were in Germany for just a year, and that was during you said that was during Bible college or
Bible school. And I
okay.
mean, I traveled through Italy during that time, and I spent a couple of months in the northern part of England during that time. So I did some traveling during that year. But yes, I mainly went there to go to Germany to go to Bible school.
Okay. And then you came back after a year,
Mhm.
and then you were like, no,
I
no.
yes.
Just you felt it. I mean, and I get it because I remember when I first came back after my first, and I'm a late bloomer as far as travel. So when I
Mhm.
came back from Spain the second time, it was after my granddaughter was born, but I was supposed to be gone for like 6 months, and it was only gone for like maybe 2.5 months. And there was, anyways, I was gone for like 2.5 months, but I remember just landing at the air. I just remember being in the airplane, and as I was landing, I just was like, there was like a certain amount of weight that I felt coming over my body,
Mhm.
or dread or something coming over my body as I was landing, because I already knew I was only gone for 2.5 months, but I already knew what the difference in the way I
Mhm.
walk and move
Mhm.
was going to be.
Yep. The weight. That's exactly it. Like the best way I can describe it is a wet wool blanket, but it was a weight.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And
So how
so
long, when you came back to the States, how long were you here before you got out of Dodge? Or excuse me, left?
no, got out of Dodge is right, but so I created a rule, and a rule is a bullshit rule. Okay, and so I was like, I
Wait a
can't
minute. Okay.
be careful of the rules that we create in our lives, but I created the rule that I needed to be debt free before I could go to Europe. And
Okay.
it took me 13 years and I got really close. And then my mechanic was like, I'm not going to fix your car anymore. You need a new car. And I was like, well, if I'm going to go in debt for a car, I might as well go in debt and buy a ticket to Europe. And I wish I had bought the ticket first and the car second, because I bought that ticket to go visit the family that I stayed with in Germany. I landed in Nice, and I was like, oh, I like this place. And then I came back, sold all my possessions, and moved with more debt than I had in when I made the rule. So I see you're a little bit confused. So I
You
made
bought
the
the
rule.
car?
So right as I was $2,000 away from being debt free, and
Mhm.
my mechanic was like, I'm not going to fix your car anymore. So I bought a new car. And then I was having lunch with a friend, and I was like, well, I'm already in debt for that. I might as well just add a ticket to Europe on there and go to Europe. So I had the car, went to Europe, and was like, no, I got to get out of here. And so I landed in Nice, and I was like, oh, look at the sun and the sea and the architecture. And then I went up to the southern part of Germany. And in the southern part of Germany, there's not a lot of different people. There's Turkish people and German people.
Mhm.
And I mean, I love Germany for a lot of reasons, but I needed more of a mix of people. So when I went back to Nice to fly back home, I was like, oh, look at the mix of people here. And so the sun, the sea, the bread, and then the mix of people and the architecture, I was like, I'm going to move back here. So it took me 2.5 years to sell all my stuff and
Okay.
um, and to move back. So, and that was
Okay.
in 2003 that I moved to France.
So you wow. So 2003. So when you said that it was, I guess, more diverse in Nice?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
So
Y'all hear that?
In Nice, France, you have North Africans, you have Black Africans, you have French people who are Italian because 200 and something years ago, France took over that part of Italy. Like that area was going back and forth between France and Italy, so the border moved. Um,
Okay.
then you have like I taught it at international school, and there was like Asian people speaking Asian and French people and Italian people and Russians. And there was just, I loved it because these kids were all speaking English and French at school, but then a different language at home. So a lot of these kids were trilingual. And I was like, they're literally growing up knowing that there's different cultures and different ways to speak. And so I thought that was very
Wow.
cool. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm still not versed. Well, I'm not well versed here yet, but I'm definitely not versed in, in France. But it's someplace I want to go and experience.
Yeah.
I know that there's quite a few. There's a young lady right now that's from Texas that that is in France. I think she's in Paris. But I was like, I'm gonna make my way over there. I have a few places that I'm trying to hit up in 2025. So yeah.
I was there for
But
14 years and I still have to go visit the wine countries. Like I did not do that while I was there. And
really,
so when I get back to that area, I will be, yes, because when you live in a place, you either have, for me, it was like you have the time but not the money, or the money but not the time. And
hmm,
so it was always in one of those situations. And so I never actually did the touring around in the wine countries. So I'm
okay.
going to. I'm gonna bop around.
And I say this like with the look, and please don't read anything to my face because I'm just like, "Whoop," okay. But I say that because I know, like in Texas, people are like, "Oh, did you go to this place?" It's like something that's like the what Texas is known for, or whatever. And I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? And I'm like, I don't know, because like I don't. Example. The Galleria is a place that is very known in Houston, okay? And I literally for like 8 years I lived right down the street from it. Right down the street. And people was like, you must go to the Galleria all the time. It's like, why would I go to the Galleria? No, I think I went there maybe twice when I was living there, like right down the street. I went there maybe twice, and I would go there with purpose. Specifically, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go right when the mall opens up at 10 o'clock in the morning, so I can go to the store, get in, get out, be done. I didn't go to experience anything at the Galleria. It's like it's the Galleria. What? But I guess there's still a big difference because like you're talking about like something in France, but you're like lived there all that time and you didn't get a chance, or you didn't get a chance, or it just didn't really interest you to go have those different experiences.
I would say it was a bit of both.
Okay.
Like because if I while I was there, if I was working, I would never have thought to take time off. Right? I would just never thought to take time off to do it. So, but when I wasn't working, it was like, not sure when the next money is going to come in. So, need to use this money for that. So it was kind of that. Like when there was a lot of money and I could have done it, I didn't have the time. And then when I had the time, it was like, ooh, let's gotta budget this money and
Yeah, other priorities.
yeah. So I would say
I
it
get
was a
that.
bit.
I
But
get that.
the Galleria thing was me and the beach. Like I lived 5 minutes from the beach, and I'd be like, eh. But when tourists would come and friends would come, then I would go to the beach. But I was not headed to the beach every day. It's
Yeah.
there. I'll go tomorrow. I can go tomorrow.
Like I know where it is. Okay.
Mhm.
And
So,
so I have to just take 1 second to say this, or 1 minute to say this. Shout out to the mechanics. I've had a great mechanic back in the States before I, got rid of my car. But I
mhm.
had paid off my car and I was just absolutely like I had budgeted like I don't know, maybe $2,000 a year that if something came up with the car that was paid off, I'm like, I will pay that.
Mhm.
And finally my mechanic was like, girl, go get another car. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that mechanic could have been like, I'm gonna patch it up because I just want to get your money. But
Mhm.
my mechanic was like yours, was like, no, I can't in good conscience fix your car again.
Yes.
Okay. You need to
Yeah.
get another car. And so yeah,
Yep.
much respect to that mechanic because not all mechanics are that honest that will tell you that. So
Yes.
it's
So
so
let me.
so
So let me just add too. So I
Yeah.
lived in France for 14 years, and then France kind of changed, and I was like, okay, I didn't move here to take advantage of the system. Not going to let the system take advantage of me. So I was like, let me travel for a year and find my next place on the planet. So I traveled to Croatia, and honestly, Croatia was the first stop after France, and I was like, I like it. I'm staying here. And then I went on to Serbia and Bulgaria, and was like, I'm staying in Bulgaria too. But Bulgaria is one of those places where it's super hot and super cold. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So that's what made me look at American territories. And then about 7.5 years ago, I I flew to Guam. I stayed on Guam for 1 month. And then my stepbrother said, Saipan's better. And so I flew to Saipan. And honestly, I landed so broke in Saipan. If I hated it, I did not have a choice. I needed to stay. And this will get back into the broken bougie, but and I landed there, no job, and I had like $20. and then I
Okay.
just and then I just do what I do. And when I left, I had to sell 2 cars and give away all the stuff. And so like I went from definitely super broke to I had more than too much stuff to give away when I was leaving 6 years later. Um, and so then when I was starting to feel like I wasn't finding my tribe, like I really wanted to live the rest of my life on Saipan, but it was still America. And so the cleaning lady group wouldn't clean for me. And the handyman group they weren't gonna fix things for me. And I was like, I can't grow old here. And
What do
so
you mean
then
they wouldn't? What do you mean? Can you explain that?
this
What do you mean that they? I mean, no. Talk to me like I'm 7 years. Yeah, because I'm like I'm.
well, I'm just trying to, yeah, okay. So the racism
Okay.
of this particular group, and as Stephanie says it the right way, the people who leave are not the same as the people, because she's like, the Philippines are great. And I'm like, okay, because on this island, the Filipino ladies were the cleaners, and they just
Hmm.
refused to clean for me. Like I remember they go by Ate, and I said, Ate, you need more hours? And she said, yeah, I need more hours. And I was like, okay, when are you free? And she was like, I have this family for 2 hours and I have another family for 2 hours and then I'm free. And I was like, okay, I need 2 hours. And she went, oh no, busy. I'm busy. And I had that conversation twice with 2 different women. Um, and then I had another woman who cleaned for our building when people moved out, and I was like, "Can you clean for me?" And she said, "No, no, I'm busy on that day." And I was like, "I didn't ask for a day. I just I just generally
So
said,
they couldn't deal with the. They couldn't work for a black person or a person of
that's
color.
yeah."
Okay. I mean, this is yeah.
I had a neighbor who was a young Filipino kid. So young means he was like in his late 20s, early 30s.
Hmm.
And he was like, oh no, there's definitely a racism for the old ate ladies. And so they just wouldn't clean for me. And when I did find one to clean for me, they'd clean for 2 weeks and then couldn't, clean for 2 weeks and then couldn't. And so I'll say this, I don't know why. I just know that I couldn't get old in a place where I couldn't get somebody to clean and take care of me, right? Like, so I could pay. I was paying, like, I was like, money's green. Like, that's the way I am. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care what
That. Okay.
it's green. But for me, my experience was definitely, I even had a cleaning lady, and then another couple moved on and she gave them my day. Right. And so it was pretty
How long
consistent.
ago was that?
uh I mean, it was the whole time I was there. So like when I was first there, I was broke. So I
No,
wasn't
no, I
looking
mean,
for,
like, was this like in like 5 years ago, or like how long
I
ago?
just left in August.
Oh, oh, okay. I was okay. Wow. Okay.
I landed on Saipan a year to the day that I left France, March of 2018. And from 2018 till 2024, I could not, it just got to the point where it's like, I need to stop. I need
Okay.
to stop denying what's happening and move on. And so there was just no community there for me. And there wasn't a community. I don't say it like this. I did have a community, but I didn't have a tribe. And so there
Okay.
was no tribe there for me. And I couldn't, like, I don't mind being alone. So if I had somebody who I knew would come and clean and I could get old and that would be okay, and I knew that I could have a handyman fix things, then I didn't mind kind of being on my own, because, you know, I kind of moved there to be on my own, but I couldn't find that support. And so that was like, then this isn't the place where I finish, which is great because I'm having a great time traveling around now.
So you had said something about you couldn't see yourself retiring in France. You said something about the community or something in France. What was happening in France when you
No, what
said you left
happened
there?
in France is not the community. I had a nice community in France.
Okay.
Um, the system. So what I said was I didn't move to France to take advantage of the system, and I left France because I didn't wasn't going to allow the system to take advantage of me. So I
Okay.
had a beautiful apartment. It was at a very low rent because the guy didn't want to fix it up. So he was like, "You do whatever you want to do." So I fixed it up. And then I think I lived there for 10 years. And then the government bought the building, turned it into low income housing, which meant they were like, now you have to tell us how much you make. And when you tell us how much you make, we'll tell you how much your rent is. And I was like, no, you tell me.
Oh,
You
okay.
tell me how much my rent is, and whether I make $1 or $1,000,000, I will pay you for that, because that's the French system. This is 60 mètres carrés, 60 square meters. This is what this value is. But it was like, no, no, no. The guy next door has a bigger apartment, but isn't working and is paying less than me. No, I'm not. That's not okay. So that is the reason why. So my
Okay.
building, my beautiful place, because I used to tell people when people would be like, "Are you going to live in France forever?" I'm like, "The coroner is going to move me. That's the only way I'm moving from this place. Is the coroner will move me." And so I
Wow.
had
Okay.
every intention of staying in France until I died. Like, I was like, there was no reason why I would leave here. But
And there's
when
no way to, um, I mean, I know that where you had lived for 10 years, I guess I'm just curious, there was no other, I guess, housing that was going to be suitable for you to possibly stay in France or to rent from someplace else at the
I
previous.
could have found another place,
Mhm.
but the government had bought something like 10,000 buildings in 3 years. So, and I was like, this is a major thing that's happening.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
I really thought about moving just into the mountains and, going off grid and doing my thing. But I was like, the system is still the system. And so if they want, it just seemed like they wanted people to not work, and right, because it would have been cheaper for me to stop working and then just go on the system than for me to have my hustle and pay top dollar for a place that I fixed up. Right, like I was going to have to pay the value of the place, but the value of the place had gone up on my dime.
Mm. Okay.
So I
Okay.
was like, I'll move into the hills. But then I was like, the system is the system. So um
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for clearing that up. I was just like, so you said you went to Croatia.
I loved it.
So
Hurry up,
you
get
just,
there.
your eyes just lit up when I just mentioned Croatia.
Yes. Hurry up and go, because when I went there, it wasn't in the EU. So they weren't using euros.
Okay.
And so it was just so cheap to be there. And the same thing with Bulgaria, but I've heard recently they're both now in the Schengen, they're both in the EU. So the prices are going to shoot up. So everybody who's listening, hurry up, get there, because they're beautiful, amazing places, but it's going to get more and more expensive to travel there and live there. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So
But
you
in
said
Croatia,
that you
I
had,
would feel guilty. I would sit at a cafe, order what I wanted to order, do the conversion and be like, oh, I have to pay more. Like, bring me something else and bring me something else, just because I felt guilty because it was so
Mhm.
cheap. So
Wow. Wow. So before we go forward, I wanted to just touch base with you because one of the things that you said in our conversations was about, I guess, bucking. I'll call it bucking the system, bucking the status quo, the expectation that you're supposed to be doing things a certain way.
hmm
Um, which a lot of us nowadays, I mean, like I ain't never been married, and I'm good with that. But
hmm
you were saying like there was so many things that I guess society or family, I don't know if it was society or family that you felt like you should have both, okay, both. What you should have been doing was, like you got up and you went to Germany and then you came back and then you were like, okay, I'm out and now I'm moving to France. What was the reaction of the family? I'll start with family as far as how you chose to do things.
when we moved, my family's odd. Like, because I have a, I have a definition of family, and my family doesn't meet that definition. Like, if I fly to California, my family doesn't really make an effort to like say come to dinner or come do this or let's meet up, right?
Mhm.
So when we moved from San Francisco to Seattle, there was not very much family contact.
Okay.
And so when I went to Germany or moved to France, I was just, the cousin who does the crazy stuff, right?
Okay.
So there wasn't any, but I think my brother was mad because he wanted to do those things. Like, my brother got married and had kids, which was what I always wanted to do. And then I was traveling the world and starting businesses and doing stuff. And I think that's what he always wanted to do. So I was like, I'm jealous of you. And he, right. So I think he was the only one who had a reaction. Right.
Okay.
But
So in a way, like you were jealous of him, and then he was jealous of you, and it's like y'all just living
yeah.
the life,
Yeah.
and
But I wasn't jealous of him, like, mad. I was just like, that's what I wanted to do.
yeah,
So, but it's the whole, I think, when I didn't get married, my mom was like, maybe she's gay." I'm like, no. And my mom once said, I don't think you got married because I got married so many times. And I was like, no, 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 no. I didn't get married because you stayed in bad marriages and I had to live through those. So that's why I didn't get married. I knew what a bad marriage looked like and I didn't want to have one. Yeah.
yeah,
So, but
yeah.
society is like, you're supposed to have kids. I mean, even now they're calling us childless cat ladies, right? And so,
Okay,
like,
we are not going to equate or have put any kind of power into the words of the ignorant like that.
yes,
Never
I
have, never will.
agree.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm here. I was supposed to finish and get my degree. And
Mhm.
I did almost 3.5 years. And then in order to finish, I needed to get a loan. And I did not want to, first of all, I didn't want to get a loan because I didn't want to go into debt. Second, I was watching people ahead of me graduate and then go work at Warehouse Records. Right. And I was like, you have all this debt and you have a degree and you're not using it. I was like, oh, if I'm not going to use my degree. So I shy of the degree and went out and I started a car detailing business and learned real
Oh,
quick that I could make more money doing the car detailing business for a couple of hours on the weekend. I mean, I was still in university at this time. So for a couple of hours on the weekend, and then I could work in a job 20 to 40 hours a week, getting paid $6 or $7 an hour, because this was back in the day. And so, like, that's when the entrepreneurial bug hit. So I was 19 at that time.
okay.
Um, so yeah, the first thing I did wrong was, because I say if I write my autobiography, I'm gonna call it "I Did Everything Wrong and It Turned Out Wonderful." That's the biography. So the first thing I did wrong was I didn't finish university, And yeah, I have a friend who's got a master's degree in psych and is can be a therapist, and she's struggling. So again, I did it wrong, but it turned out wonderfully. And I know some people who did it right and they're struggling, right? And
Yeah.
so that was the
My
first one.
you just made me think. My I have some family in North Carolina, and it was I was adopted. So if anybody knows me, they know I was adopted. So my bio mom has this thing. My two half sisters have both gotten their masters, and my bio mom has gotten her masters. And the joke is because I went to school at such a late, I went to college in my 40s, and she's like, "I'm just waiting and stuff for you to get that master's." I was like, "Girl, you're gonna keep waiting because I'm not." Yeah, it's like I had, I did not get the master. Well, did not get a bachelor's. I was actually in school towards my bachelor, and I had already become promoted just within the company that I was at, and
Mhm.
everything was going on. And again, I was going to have to get extra loans and all those things. And I was like, you know what? I think we're good. Okay. I thank you, community college. Thank you for and all. I did take some classes,
Mhm.
on the undergraduate side, but I did not get my bachelor's because I had already. I felt like I was going to stroke out just trying to get the bachelor's, and I had
Mhm.
already achieved, and I was already on the right track to career wise, career
Mhm.
wise. And I was like,
Mhm.
you know what? I think that I'm going to save my money now. But yeah, my bio mom is still to this. She's like, well, she kind of gave up on it, which is cool. She's like, are you, I would really love to have all of you guys have the masters. I was like, yeah, you would, but you're gonna have to be good with what you got right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm like,
So yeah, I mean, to me, it's like if you're going to go to school and go into debt and then work in that field and make enough money to pay off that debt, which that debt is a racket, right?
mm,
Then, yeah, but
yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't get caught up in that racket, really. Uh,
So,
and it's been a blessing to not get caught up in that racket. And then marriage, girl, all I missed out on was the divorce. So okay, because I was living in the south of France and single and flying back to the States and gonna have a reunion kind of thing with my girlfriends. And I was feeling down about myself because they were all married with kids and I didn't have any married kids. And then we're at the restaurant and this one's having an affair and that one is and all of them had a story. And my one friend who is now happily married again, but she was very not happy with her husband and I was already planning the exit. And when I looked at all their stories, I was like, oh, like the only thing I missed out on is the divorce because yeah, there are some happily married people, but
oh yeah,
they're very hard to
yes.
find.
Stuff. I mean, no, I've never been married, and I'm okay with that. But and I do just from the outside looking in. I've seen some of the, what you're saying, like some of the stories. It's like, ooh, okay, yo, don't make that look appealing at all. And so, I have always said that I feel like if I ever did get married, I don't foresee it, but I said if I got married now at this point in my life, I think I would have a stronger because I have a stronger sense of self. And so,
Mhm.
I know, my what I like, what I desire, what I would need in a relationship. But I think had I gotten married in my 20s or whatever, I would have been divorced too. I would have been divorced by now, no doubt. Okay, for me, for
Yeah,
me. Okay, I know this.
me myself, I have the leave gene. Like if I'm not happy, I'm leaving.
She said she has the leave gene.
Have it. I've got friends and cousins who don't have the leave gene, and I'm like, I don't know how you stay. So yeah, I have the leave
Yeah,
gene, and it's
and so
strong.
some people have that. I mean, they have that ability to learn, and they grow together. They
Mhm.
grow, like I know, like D from H&D Abroad, they talk about that, about how they have meetings, they have like those real discussions. But back when I was, that I would have had attitude, and yeah, I don't think I would have made a good wife then. would have picked the wrong person, and
Yes.
would have been struggling. Yeah. And so I
Exactly.
get that.
Yeah.
And so again, you call it everything. I did everything wrong, but you did everything. Everything that you did was what fit you and what made you the better person and brought the wholeness to your life.
Yeah, I think I would have gotten married. Like one of the reasons that was again, yes, my mom stayed into bad relationships for a long time, but also I was at a young life or youth thing, and the guy said, "Ladies, you're not just picking a husband for yourself; you're picking a father for your children." And I just went, "Ooh, like I can be with any jerk, right? But my kids deserve a good father." And so,
Yeah.
it just
Wow.
rose up as to what. And so I just never met anybody who would have been a good father. So it was just never a question to me. They whatever they were dealing with me. And I did meet someone in France, and he would have been a fabulous father, but he was not a good partner. And I had a miscarriage at 42.
Okay.
And it was during that I had to just kind of let parenthood go. But I wanted to be a parent. Yeah, I absolutely wanted to be a parent. But when it wasn't going to happen, then
Mm.
I embraced not being a parent and made the absolute most of it. So that was, I just didn't want to be the person at 42 going because I the miscarriage was clear that he wasn't the person, and I wouldn't want to be the person like, "Hi, my name is Melanie. Do you want to have kids? Can we start now?" Like I just did not want to. So I let
What's your
parenthood go.
2-year plan instead regarding kids on the first date?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I didn't want to be that person. So it wasn't until I was 42 that I actually let go of parenting. But I raised a lot of kids because I did a lot of nanny work. Uh, I did a lot of nanny work over the years, and so I raised a lot of kids. And so I used to say
Major
like
impact.
nanny work is a racket because like I'm a mom, but I get evenings and weekends off, and they pay me to do it. So
Is
I
that what
you
you
know,
did mostly in France?
no, nanny
Okay.
work
When were you a nanny?
was before France. In France, it was nanny-ish, but it was more English. What do they like? I would call it immersion English.
Okay.
So, like, I worked for a Russian family, and she had a full time nanny, but I would come and spend 3 days, like long days, just speaking English with their daughter. So, of course, we're playing and we're doing that. But when it was time for her to go to sleep, the nanny came in and put her to sleep. And when it was time for her to get dressed, the nanny would come in and dress her. So, governess is kind of the word
Oh, okay.
governance. And through them, I was flown different places at different times to give immersion classes to other students as well. So,
Wow.
but
So,
yeah,
quick question. I see here, Nichelle was asking, so did you get permanent residency in France?
no, if I had permanent residency, I think I probably would have tried to stick it out a little bit more. So, France is the kind of place where you can get permanent residency in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years or 5 years. It depends on the mood of the person the day they have your application in front of you. And
Okay.
And while I had people around me who had been there less time than me get it, and people who had been there longer still not have it, I did not. It didn't come through for me before I left in that time.
So
So,
you had
but
applied
I,
before, but
I
it
had,
just didn't.
so I had some visa, like my visa switched. Like when I first went over there, I went on the student visa, and then I had what I call the long-term tourist visa.
Okay.
And then I went back and got because the visa came for starting a business there, and I went back and I got that visa, and that
Okay.
was probably the last 5 years. So on that visa, I did not get residency. So more like 7 years. Yeah. So, but the first few years it was the student visa. And yeah.
So what was so when you left France, I guess I'm like, what was the traveling? Okay, well, while you were in France and then moving about abroad, what was the traveling like? Were you going to hitting up different parts of Europe during the time that you were in France? Let's start with that question. Um,
Well,
were you doing a lot of traveling?
while I was in France, of course, Nice is very close to Italy, so um, just day trips into Italy, and
Okay.
Monaco, which is also inside of France. Going up to Germany to visit friends, going to England to visit friends, hang out, do things. Where else did I go? I feel like I went a lot of different places. But oh, Paris, but that's still within France. Like you have to do that. So I didn't do a lot of bopping around while I was there. I mean, when I landed there, I was like I land places broke, and then I have like to get my hustle on to get things. And so when I first landed there, um, I think I got a job at a international school. And so,
Okay.
yes, so I got a job at an international school. And then, you just kind of, I was learning the language and you're learning the system and you just kind of, everything is just like learning everything. And like one time, because, and if you're thinking of moving to Europe, you have to check out a website called Anglo Info, and they should have them for different cities. But back in the day, Anglo Info was a great place for resources and finding rooms to rent and finding jobs and that kind of thing. Um, and so somebody was giving away a car. So I got a car. And one day I was walking by and I was like, there's my car. And I went and did some stuff and I came back and I was like, where's my car? And there was a panel there. And what I didn't know is that if somebody's moving, they rent the sidewalk and they'll put a panel down that says, don't park here between this time and this time. Well, I barely spoke French. And I definitely didn't know that the panel what meant anything. And so I was like, where's my car? And then I read the panel. I think did I even snap a picture? Like, again, some of this stuff was before we had smartphones, right? And so I had to go get my car from the tow place because they towed my car. And that was just a life experience. So just, things work differently. So there is a learning curve, and you don't travel. I didn't travel a lot during that learning curve because it's like I need to get stable or settled.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I traveled to different places. Like I traveled to Bulgaria for a wedding, um, and that was before I left France. So, but I would have to say I didn't do a lot of traveling. Well, I did for the little girl who I taught English to, who was Russian. Their family would go for Christmas to their chalet in the Austrian Alps, and they were like, "We want you to come." And so they would fly me there, and I would stay there. So that, and then I would go to Innsbruck for a day off, or I would go to different places in Austria for the day off. Um,
So you got to, okay, so would you say, well, you got to do some good traveling on the employer's dime. Okay, that's
private,
nice. Very nice.
private jet, 5-star hotels. Then they had a villa just outside of Monaco and a villa within Monaco. So I would just, when I would show up to work, I would show up to work, the baby wouldn't be up yet. So the cook would bring me breakfast, fresh fruit and salmon. And I would just sit in there on their terrace and look over the Mediterranean, Monaco, going like, yeah, life's a ghetto. Horrible. So yeah, like having amazing experiences on someone else's dime is really, really wonderful. So yeah.
So would you say that was like probably the bulk of that? I mean, besides, I know that you went to different places to visit friends, but would you say that that was maybe the bulk of how you were able to travel so much? Or what other opportunities allowed you to jump around?
I
Or
didn't
like when you went to Croatia, what was
Croatia
like,
was me leaving France.
Mhm.
and traveling the world for a year to find my next place on the planet. So I left France. I went to Croatia. I was in Bulgaria, Romania, a couple days in Serbia, and spent months there slow traveling.
Okay.
Like I stayed with three different people in Croatia, and I stayed with three or four different people in Bulgaria. So that's HelpX, and so you stay and you can help them on their farm or help them around their house.
Oh, okay. I've heard of what is the other one? Something away,
Work away and
yeah,
woof.
work away. Okay, okay.
So that's how I did those things on a budget. But honestly, it was so inexpensive to live there that when we would go shopping, their groceries would be so little, I would be like, I'll just pay for it. I'll just pay for it. So they were supposed to feed me, but it was just like, just take the $20 and that's food for the month here. So yeah. So um
Food for the month, okay. That's one of my biggest expenses is food.
and you get whatever you want, and it was 200, 300 in their money, but it was like $30 in our money. So I was like, just go ahead. So I'll pay for it. So that's
Okay.
how I traveled around. But it's funny,
So
I've
you
had,
did like you worked on farm you said you worked like, what are some of the places you said you worked maybe on the farm? Like, what did you do,
I don't think I
on
worked. So
on these
in
type of
Croatia, it was a young
environment?
family, and the first place in Croatia it was a young family,
Okay.
and they had a building they wanted constructed, and so we were working. Me and another family had showed up at the same time, so we worked together to help them with that. And then I moved to another place, and it was just a young family, and the guy was kind of just a hoarder. So I mean, I helped with different projects they had, but he had 15 projects going and nothing was getting finished.
Oh,
um
wow.
but like the family was a wonderful family. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I landed there like I'm only going to be here 2 days, and then I stayed for 2 months because they were wonderful people.
Oh,
And then
wow,
I
okay.
went from there. I stayed in Slatina, Croatia, with a young couple, and we helped paint their house. I helped paint their house, and they had like a hill sloping down to, I think, a river, and so we put stairs in there. But it's just, you work for a couple of hours and then you hang out for the rest of the time, and
I'm
that's.
just like, you're building buildings and okay, you're
I am very handy, so it's like, I remember in France, one of my cars broke down, so I took my other car there, and it took me about 40 minutes to get the car started. And as soon as I got the car started, a woman came out. She was a coiffeur, she was a hairdresser, and she was like, she said, "Vous êtes mécanicienne? Are you a female mechanic?" And I said, "No, je suis femme célibataire. No, I'm a single woman." And she just kind of laughed, and right. So it's like, no, no,
like, I gotta figure these things out. Yeah. Okay.
like, she a mechanic, like she got her car working, and yeah. And I was like, no, I'm just a single woman, and drove my two cars away. So you drive one and come back and get the other one. So, but yeah, I'm pretty handy, so I can do those things, and I don't like. To me, working is just free CrossFit, right? Working on a farm is just free CrossFit. So let's do this. Yeah. So then when I got to Romania, I stayed in an Airbnb. But in Bulgaria, I house sat. One of the places was just, can you house sit for me? And she reached out to me. And I was like, sure, I can do that. Just took care of her dog and house sat. And then another place in Bulgaria, I lived with gypsies, which is an amazing story. And that woman was completely off grid. And I only stayed with her for 10 days because I was going to a silent meditation course afterwards. Otherwise, I would have stayed with her longer. Shoot, I might still be there.
Okay, so I guess what because I hear the term gypsies, I'm like, what do they have like a different living conditions, or is it because I don't want to make any kind of assumptions at all. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like,
Because we do make assumptions. And so it was a small town in in Bulgaria. And as
Mhm.
I was, that's a story. It's a story and a half. But as I was taking the taxi in, I was like, oh, I saw gypsies. And the gypsies that would come to the south of France were rough, right? And like they ask you for money, they shake their little cup, and
They
then
get down like that over here too in Spain.
you
Yes.
you put your money in, and then they decide if that was enough, and they'll be shaking again in your face. And I was like, oh no, now you're never getting any more money from me. But so I had that experience with them. So when I like went past and I saw gypsies, and then they dropped me off in this tiny little town, and the first few people that I saw were gypsies, I was like, oh my goodness. But the
You're ready.
lady was British, and her boyfriend was gypsy, and gypsy people consider themselves black. And
Mhm.
Bulgaria was interesting because I got double looks from everybody. So the gypsies would look and be like gypsy, and then they would look in and they'd be like, oh, American, like money.
Mhm.
The white people would be like gypsy, and then they'd look again and be like, oh, American, money, right? And so I got double looks from everybody there, which is probably why I didn't want to stay in Bulgaria forever. But yeah, what Lisa was completely off grid. So we did gardening. She had horses. We put fences up. We moved fences. We did everything. Um, so yeah, like there's just a lot
So
of
what was the? I guess I'm like, what was there any situation where you felt like this is not maybe the best environment?
I was scared as hell when I landed in that gypsy gypsy village.
Okay. Okay.
So I landed in the gypsy village, and it was a village that was dying out. And so there was only probably 100 people left, and 50 of them were gypsies, and 50 of them were white Bulgarians. But
Mhm.
Lisa, being British, was with a Bulgarian man. And so we were in that culture. Like I don't remember meeting very many white Bulgarians in that village. Right. And so, but when I
You got
first
a
landed,
whole book ready
mhm,
for you. You got a whole book that you need to sit down and just write. Okay, because I'm like,
yep. And so yeah, this is the story because I land there and there's nobody there, like nobody. And like a gypsy man walks by and another gypsy man walks by, and then a gypsy man comes up and he goes, Lisa? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, follow me. So now I'm following a gypsy man with my like rolling luggage on a not paved road. And he unlocks a door with a padlock on it. And it's like, here you go. And I'm like,
oh my,
you look in and you look in and it was clean and organized. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get locked up, this is the place. so so I went in, and he said lock goes right here, and he's like, now come with me. And we went back to the same place and ordered beer, which if you like, these particular like Bulgarian gypsies are Turkish gypsies are generally Muslim. If you're a woman traveling alone, you don't have any protection. If you drink beer, you're kind of a whore. And so I was like, oh, I understand this culture. I'm endangering myself, but I'm like, I don't know, like, might as well just have a beer. Might as well be tipsy if I'm gonna die. So I
okay.
I get up and I go to the store and I see a white woman coming and I'm like, Lisa? And she was like, yeah, how do you know? And I was like, because you're the only white woman I've seen here. And she loved that joke. From then on, she loved it. But I loved my time there. I loved my time with them. I loved my time there. Yeah, I did.
Wow, this is. I'm just like, you see my face. I'm like, what kind of? This is crazy. I was just like, I was just trying to get to another country and just sit tight. And she's like, no,
Mhm.
I'm bopping. I'm going
That's
everywhere.
it.
You're experiencing everywhere. So
Yes.
you said, as far as the places, so you said that was probably the most unsettled or unsafe that you may have felt. What was
Yes.
a place where you felt like absolute like the best experience as far as stay and comfort levels?
On that particular leg,
Any
like
part.
through the Baltics, Croatia.
Okay.
Like I was in Zagreb by myself in an Airbnb, and then I stayed with three different families, and I never felt like through public transit and do nothing, never, nothing. It was always welcome, come sit down. I never had any problem at all whatsoever or felt anything. And I didn't, nobody ever was rude to me in Bulgaria. It's just I was very aware of getting double takes by everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
one of the places when I went to Rabat last year, I did a pet sit in Rabat, and I just remember because my last night I was staying on the what is it, the international school, the U.S. school or whatever that's in Rabat, and so the teachers they live on campus, and so I had to send my passport and all this stuff to get the clearance before I even got there, and
mhm,
so the plane from Madrid to Rabat and back only came in like once a week. That was
mhm,
it. So when I finished the pet sit, I still had to stay one extra day, and so I rented a room through Airbnb in the old Medina,
nice.
and it's like I mean it's old. It's it's
Mhm,
very historical and and it's beautiful inside the home, but it's just very different. It's run down in certain areas and definitely like the sewage issue was coming the smell coming up and things like that. But overall, I guess and somebody else that would probably be scared, like I can't believe I'm walking around here just by myself. And I
mhm,
felt so safe, and it was such a beautiful. And they fed me. The lady that was renting out the room, her husband was like off on the pilgrimage because it was during Ramadan.
okay.
Um, but it was just I felt so safe, and it was such an honor for the family, the lady that was renting out the rooms. It was such an honor for her to have you there and to be appreciated. Like this is my home. It was such a, yeah, it was such an honor, and I felt like lucky. I felt very lucky to be
Mhm,
there to have that experience.
yeah.
I did some other things, but just to have this wonderful little room, it was like there was no doors. It was just like curtains that you
Mhm.
just go and stuff, and you're like, okay, and good night. Okay.
And I would say that about my gypsy experience. Like it started off like, oh my God, what have I gotten into? But I walked away from all the different things going, that was amazing. That was a once in a lifetime chance. And it was amazing. Like I have
Yeah.
pictures. I got to take some pictures. So, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been quite the journey.
Mhm.
So, you said, so what is it like now? What is your plans as far as you're in New Zealand now, and then you leave, you go to Auckland, and then you are headed to where are you going next?
So when I was coming, I decided it was best for me to do some round trip tickets to prove to both Auckland and to New Zealand and Australia that I was leaving. And so I flew from I flew from the tiny little island that I lived on to Seoul, Korea, and then from Korea to Melbourne, from Melbourne to Auckland, and so then I will fly back to Auckland to Melbourne, and from Melbourne back to South Korea, and then from South Korea, because I already have that ticket, I will go to Chiang Mai. And I'm going to spend a month and a half traveling down away from the smog because it's going to get smoggier and smoggier there.
Oh,
So
during the burn thing, it's like during the
right,
burn
it
season. Yeah. Okay.
starts I think February. I think it starts January, February. So Chiang Mai for 2 weeks, and already gonna hook up with the community that's there. And
Hmm.
then I'm not a big city girl, so I'm going to look at plane prices, and that's really what's going to make the decision is whether I spend a couple of days in Bangkok and then go down to the South Islands, or if I just go straight down to the South Islands and then fly out of Bangkok to Da Nang because I will be in Hoi An for the month of February for the meetup.
to meet up there.
I'm going to stay the whole month there. Yeah. And so, and then after that, so there's some people that are ladies in the group where once we meet up there, we're going to go to Malaysia and do the health checkup thing.
Oh, okay.
Then
Okay.
from there, no. I almost had a month-long house sit in Pune, India. And so, but he also travels a lot. So maybe between now and then he'll have another one come up. Um,
Okay.
and so I would definitely go and do that. Um, so, but I have all the way through March planned
So
out.
during that time, and tell me none of your business and everything, but we try to like we're learning from each other. During that time, how are you, what are your resources for income, or are you? Because I'm like a lot of flying. So I'm like, are you online teaching or are you okay?
Yes. When I was in Saipan, I was a tutor, a private tutor, and a couple of my students have continued. Um, right now, I only work 6 hours a week, and that brings in enough money to because I'm house sitting, right? So it's food. That's literally what I'm paying for right now. Food and flights.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
my budget.
You
You
said I'm
land in
not
a
bopping. It's
place,
like, no, you're bopping. You're bopping good. Okay.
and you need a SIM card, right? And you need a SIM card, you need a travel card if you're in a place where there's travel. Here, she was like, you can use my car. And I was like, "Oh, okay, but you guys drive on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road."
It's not wrong. She's like, for me, it is.
So, yeah. And so, I now know that if you see somebody and they're making a turn and their windshield wipers go on, they are used to driving on the other side of the road. Give them some space because I'm constantly because the windshield wipers are here. So whenever I'm signaling, the windshield wipers go, and then I turn them off and take over here.
The show
So,
says, I hope to see you in Vietnam. I'm moving back to Bangkok in the new year.
oh well, maybe I'll see you in Bangkok. If she's there in January, I'll be there January, February. So
And wait a minute, hold on. Where is it at? Oh, here it is. So she said, Eileen says, how can I be like you when I grow up?
I would
Yeah,
say
you're
this: don't think it's difficult. So for Hoi An, there are people who are staying in hotels that are 30, 35 bucks a night, which is not bad. I mean, I spent 55 in Melbourne, but everything I do is budget so that I can do more. So I was like, yeah, I can stay in these places, but I look at those places and I'm like, there's going to be free shampoo and free soap and free slippers, but I'd rather stay in, they call them villas. And so like the woman will like you, it's not a house stay, it's a villa, but I found a place for 10 bucks a night. So I'm like, I'm going to stay the whole month. Right? Rather than go in for 8 days for 30 bucks. But I, how would I say it? I save myself money by doing the work. Right. And so I found a place for $14 a night and I was like, book it. And then I started looking because somebody else told me a price they found. And I started looking and I was like, oh, this place is closer in. It's got more reviews and it's only 10 bucks a night. And so then you book it and then you ask for a picture of the actual room so that if there's no bait and switch,
yeah.
right? So now I'm 10 bucks a night, which is good money for them, right? And but I would rather like I'd rather share a bathroom and have more money for good food than have the slippers and have the right like I'm trying not to stay in the hotel room. I'm not there. Like I should just be sleeping there. If I'm doing it right, I'm sleeping there and teaching my classes. So,
Okay.
and back to
So have
that,
you ever had like one that you got there and you were like, oh no. I mean, like as far as the cleanliness or the ability to lay down and feel comfortable.
Uh, Not recently. Like I think when I was younger, right?
Hmm.
When I was younger, I think I was in a place and I was like, ooh. But now I don't. No, no, no. I mean, I'm budget, but bougie. So it's like if it stinks or there's bugs or I smell smoke or mold, I'm out. Um, 2 years ago when I was traveling, I was in Barcelona, and the first place I stayed, and this was just a learning experience of protecting me or standing up for me, or like my fear is always don't be a bother, right? And so the first place I stayed in Barcelona, they had me on the bottom floor. There was a window and you could smell the humidity. And it never even crossed my mind to say, this kind of smells. Can I move
Hmm.
to a different place? And so I didn't stay in Barcelona as long as I would have, because I was like, I just have to get out of here. Like, ooh, I just felt closed in. And it just didn't hit me to like, can I get a different room? Right. So then
Hmm.
I went to Valencia, and from Valencia, um, I was in Denia, and the first thing I did when I walked in the room, I smelled the humidity. I was like, I need a different room, and they moved me upstairs into a beautiful room. Like it was the same price, beautiful room, and I was like, why, why didn't you ask for that in Barcelona? Right?
Sometimes we just don't have that voice. We don't even think to speak for
Yes,
ourselves
I did not
and be like,
even.
I don't like this. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned that there. And so now, no, I just like if it smells like smoke, I'm gonna say it smells like smoke. Like put me in a different room or, you know. So, but
Yeah.
I always travel with enough cash or room on my credit card. And even for house sitting, like I had a 1 month house sit in Auckland for December and it got canceled. And
Hmm.
so I had the money to basically say, let me switch my tickets around and go somewhere where it'll be cheaper for me to stay. It'll be much cheaper for me to stay in Chiang Mai and in Bangkok and than it would be to stay in New Zealand or in Melbourne.
Hmm.
So because of budget for me, I made moves that were budget conscious moves.
You are very good with planning and logistics, and I
Yeah.
guess yes, you have to be
Yeah.
very. You have to be okay.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah. When you say logistics and somebody else said logistics, I'm like, "Ooh, no."
Yeah, put that on your resume, girl. You got that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's another thing I do. I will, for flights, I look up the flight with Expedia or Skyscanner, and then once I find that flight I want, I go to the airline because lots of times now the airlines are cheaper than the online places.
Yeah.
So then we go to that airline and check and see if their prices. This one was from Seoul to Chiang Mai, and Jeju Air was cheaper, but their baggage was less. Now, like right,
Yeah,
and I
you
was
always have to check that out. Yes.
and then you couldn't like you had to pay extra to pick your seat. And I'm old but bougie. So if it's a 5 hour flight or more, I need to buy the upgraded seat because like I'm not upgrading to like business, but I'm definitely getting that bigger seat because I'm not throwing my back out on a 5 hour.
Okay. So I just got my ticket because I have a pet sit next month in
Mhm.
Lisbon. So I just got my ticket and I was like, I don't want to just fly regular coach. And people are like, it's an hour and 30-minute flight. And I was like, it's not that. It's the access to get in. Like I like to be able to bypass. I don't want to have to wait in the long line. But the experience, it adds into the experience at the airport also. So I
Mhm.
did upgrade my ticket just because I was like, I like my experience to start from the time I get out of my Uber when I like first hit the airport, not
Mhm.
just on the flight and everything. And I've got a little bougie. Okay. But
I upgraded all if it's a long flight, I'm upgrading that seat. I need the bigger, more comfortable seat because
mhm.
you can I can throw my back out sitting in the wrong position for 4 hours. So I'm gonna upgrade that seat and get the bigger seat, or pay. Not maybe it's not upgrade, just pay for the bigger seat.
Have
But
you had
it's
to deal with a lot of any kind of like airline delays in this wonderful new world at post COVID?
I feel like
No?
that's special to America. Like I've not really ever had a delay or a
Wow.
cancellation or lost anything. Like knock on wood for that one.
Ooh, yeah.
Very blessed. Like blessed to the point where I showed up at the Qantas desk and they were like, "You don't have the ETA visa." And I was like, "Yes, I do. It's right here." And they were like, "That's not it." And I was like, "Well, what is this?" I called them and nobody said that it wasn't this. And the guy was like, "That is a declaration thing." And like, would declare. And he was like, "So you're going to have to fill it out and you're probably not going to make the flight. It's like boarding in 30 minutes." And I was like, no, I'm blessed. I didn't even sit down. I just filled it out right there. And then the woman, and he called because he was like, she's got something. And so he called me and said, no, that's not that. That's this. She's going to have to apply. And he left me to it. I did it. And then the woman was like, let's see what they say. And she looked and she was like, you can board. And even the man was like, what? He works at the airline. And he was like, huh? Like, I'm surprised they let you on the plane. And I was like, I am very lucky. I'm very
I
lucky.
just heard about that. Like I did a pet sit for a friend back in Houston back in March, like a few weeks before I moved here, and her and her family they were going to Australia, New Zealand, one of those, yeah.
Mhm.
And they were at the airport. It was her, her mother, her boyfriend, and her daughter. They were at the airport, and they could not get on the plane because they did not have that ETA thing that you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
Nobody told them anything until they were ready to board the flight. Then they were like, "You can't get on.
yeah.
Try
And
again."
I
So they
knew
had to delay the flight by 24 hours
yeah. And
and
I
paid some
knew
crazy
about it.
expedited fee.
Yeah, I knew about it and called. I called and said, I'm having a problem. It's not going through. What's going on? And they were like, oh, you have to wait. Blah, blah, blah. But never did he say, like, this isn't the visa thing, right? Like, why are you declaring stuff 2 weeks before you're getting on the plane, right? Like, you declaring you don't have fruit. Basically, that's what I did was I pre
Oh, okay.
for fruit. And I was like, he should have been like, but no, they didn't. But it turned out like I got on that flight. I
She's
was
like,
stressed out, but I
"Better
got
luck than not. I'm making this flight."
I was stressed out, but I got on that flight like, ooh. So yeah, I'm
So
blessed.
Nichelle asked, "Have you considered what region of the world you would probably like to maybe like settle down? I won't say actually grow old in, but to actually possibly settle in eventually."
When I was in Nice, I had a girl adopt me. And so for 17 years now, she was 21 then, she's almost 40 now. And I was like, where's those grandbabies? Give me those grandbabies. And so she's now got 2 kids. And she's like, where are you? You were supposed to take these grandbabies and have them in France. And so she's in the UK. And so for that reason, Portugal is my spot. I mean, Spain was lovely and it could be Spain, but I didn't get to go to Portugal on my trip 2.5 years ago. Um, what was it, 1.5 years ago? I didn't get to go to Portugal, and I've always wanted to go to Portugal. So it's Portugal. But if I didn't have her, it would be Ecuador,
Oh, okay,
because
okay.
Ecuador just feels very, very right. And so if I could find a way to get from Ecuador to the UK on a 6 or 7 hour flight, then it would just be Ecuador. Um, but to be close to her, it's Portugal. Yeah.
Okay. So that's awesome. That's awesome. We have a few more questions here. I'm trying to get through some of the questions before we go. Usually I go like my lives usually go about an hour and 15 minutes, but I was like, I feel like you have a lot more to say, and people needs the information. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see here.
I'm not in a hurry.
Let's see here. Oh, she was just Michelle was just saying, which country was that? Was this for the ETA? That was for New Zealand, correct? The
Yes.
number, yeah, that was New Zealand. Okay, yeah, I thought so.
The one where they approved me like instantly because the guy felt sorry. Yeah, that was New Zealand. But Australia has it too. I just
Yeah,
did Australia's right.
and so oh my goodness. Wait a minute, let me see here. Oh, we already answered that one. Oh, somebody was just saying, well, they were just actually piggybacking. I'm late, and Michelle was just saying, I don't have my bachelor either, only because of money, and I can relate to both of you, even though things seem to have gone both right and wrong for me.
Mm. Well, don't let it stop you from traveling, and don't let it stop you from leaving the states.
Yes.
Don't think you have to have that to that's like my biggest thing for people to know. You don't have to have that. You don't really have to have savings if you are industrious enough. Like when I landed on Saipan, I had my $20 and my stepbrother's friend was like, let's go get everything you need. And I was like, I don't need nothing. This is food money. And I got a job teaching English, one class a day. And I walked 40 minutes to teach the class and walked 40 minutes back. And I was like, that's like free CrossFit, right? Like it's exercise.
So, was
And
there any special? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off here. It's like when my brain gets going, so I'm like, I gotta ask the question now. Was there any special things that you had to do to be able to get to work even those few hours in Saipan?
Saipan's America. So I was American.
Oh,
But
okay.
like yeah, so Saipan's America. So whatever
Oh,
you
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I will tell you this, there's a lot of places who just only want to pay you cash to teach English. And
But then
so
if they
they
don't want to pay you, you have no recourse.
but they don't want to lose you because
Oh,
you are
okay.
a native English speaker and they are hard to find to be teachers.
Oh,
So
okay.
they do not mess.
Interesting.
I had never had anybody ever be like, well, but no, they were like, here's this, and how about some extra?
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
In France, in on Saipan, yeah, everywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you think that you'll go back to the US for even a visit? If say a visit.
I went back 2 years ago because I had a great aunt and an aunt who were in poor condition, and they both passed on.
Hmm.
And when I go there, my family makes no effort to like come to like I rent a car, so all they have to do is say come over, and they don't do it. So I don't see myself going back there. There's like they can come to me. I lived on the French Riviera for 14 years. No one came to visit,
Yeah.
right? So it's just an interesting family dynamic. And so no, I don't. And it's crazy there. Like even when I lived in France, I would be on the plane going, I'm putting my life in danger. I'm going from a place where nobody has a gun to there are 7 guns for every man, woman, and child in the country. I am putting my life in danger. And so, no, I mean, I cannot think of a reason why I would go back now.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Now that yeah, I can't think of a reason.
Okay. I get it. I was speaking to one of my what I call I have like just very few life sisters, and I was
Mhm.
speaking to one of them yesterday, and we hadn't talked in probably like about a month, and
Mhm.
we we're just talking, and then she just happened to ask. She was like, "So," 'cause she's like, "Do you think you'll be coming back to the U.S.?" And I was like, "Uh, yeah, maybe I'll come back for like a week or two."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like, I mean, I do need to go because I have some business that I need to handle there that I feel like I
Mhm.
need to, address, and plus I need to go and get rid of my little small storage also. So there's a few
Mhm.
things I need to come back and finalize, but overall, I'm like, I want to go to Mexico this summer
Mhm.
to pet
Like
sit
I
and bop around in Mexico for 2 months. That
yeah,
I want to do.
I go
Um,
to Puerto Rico.
yeah, I was like, but so it was like the really like. Oh, we'll see. Hmm. Okay.
Mm-mm.
It's just
No,
so yeah.
I'm trying to get my life sisters out of there. Like, can you get out of there before they close the borders and you can't get out? Like, get out, go. So
Yeah.
I'm it,
That's a real for my bio mom to literally say she's like, and I don't think it wasn't like because of the election things. Like she finally came to because she doesn't fly. She doesn't. She lived in
mhm,
Germany for years. Her husband was in the military, but
mhm,
she does not fly. She has yet to see her great grandchild,
mhm.
in person. And so finally she was like, I'm gonna go ahead and renew my passport. But now I think that it's becoming like more of a little bit of a push for some of them to just go ahead and at least get your passport. Just start
Mhm.
there. Just get your passport, please. I don't want to I don't encourage anyone to just be like after all the election stuff, just to be like, oh, just to be like, oh, I got to get out of here within the next 2 weeks. But make a plan. Start by getting your passport or renewing your passport. Do
Yes,
that at least, and then we'll
yes,
talk about the next step. So I'm trying to get over
praise-
here is just maybe an option. Okay,
yes.
to
Start.
know you have options.
Don't be afraid. I will say this for the people that are listening. If you've had any trauma in your life, you may be stuck for a very good reason because we have fight and flight, but people don't talk about freeze and fawn. And those are it's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And I have it happen to me. Like I just get overwhelmed and then I can't move anymore. Right. So
The deer in the headlight.
not moving and fawning is just going along with whatever's happening without protesting and without. Right. And so we do a lot of freezing and fawning, and you feel like you're stuck. You don't know why you're stuck. So that's one of the reasons why I started my website and my thing is like if you just feel stuck and you just need somebody to hold your hand through a process that's scaring you into a freeze state, then reach out to me and set up the call and I will hold your hand through the process because I it's I understand it. I get it. Like it just get it's scary. And so you don't do anything. And then I just don't feel like there's anybody there you could just reach out to and say, "Can you just sit on the phone with me while I do this or help me through the
Hmm.
process or right?" And so that's one of the reasons like I created Miss Melanie's World for older black women who want to get out of the country or in the process of or just feel stuck or frozen so that they can reach out. They can read
And
my
know they're
stuff.
not alone.
Yes, they can read my stuff and be like, "Oh, she's crazy, so I'm not that crazy. So if I'm not that crazy, I'll be okay."
And we
But
all are doing things in our own ways to help and be supportive. For me, of course, I do the vlogs, um,
yes.
and I also wanted to create like a possible soft landing for some women. So I do offer the room up in certain
Mhm,
situations. Okay,
mhm,
but as a soft landing option.
mhm.
But we all have our own way that we can try to contribute to the betterment of our Black women.
Yeah,
You know, yes,
yeah,
I mean, yes, absolutely. That's just the bottom line.
yeah,
Um, so make some moves.
yeah.
Locate
I,
your cozy. Start by getting your passport.
yes.
Okay.
If you don't have your passport, get your passport. If you're having a problem filling it out because it's just scaring you, reach out to somebody and just say, "Hold my hand while I do this." Right?
Yes.
Hold my hand while I do it. Right? Like, yeah.
What I've done. I'm
I was
sorry. Go
gonna say
ahead.
I get afraid, but I like freedom more than I'm afraid, right? So like I might be afraid to do something, but getting out or having a different experience pushes me past that fear, right? Like when I started traveling at 50 through the Baltics with all of my luggage because that was everything I owned, I was like, I think you're crazy. I literally think you're crazy. But it didn't stop me because the experience of doing it and finding something new was stronger than the fear of anything. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things in the conversation that I just had with some of the ladies earlier was sometimes, like, just for me looking at, like, I'm looking at tickets for Vietnam, and actually it started with when I was looking for the plane tickets for Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And I go down the rabbit hole and it becomes overwhelming. And so at that point, a lot of times I've learned to make myself stop, step away, maybe for 48 hours, and then
Mm-hmm.
go back to it. Not saying that you're leaving it. Sometimes you just have to kind of step away, take a breather, count or whatever, and then go back and be like, okay, now let's go ahead and get this done. This
Mm-hmm.
is so allowing yourself to step away and breathe helps.
I had to do that this week. I just got overwhelmed with like affiliate links and website and pictures and posts and connecting this account to that account. I was like, I just like, and I watched a movie. And started back the next day, like movie, go to sleep, and I just started back the next day. So take that break.
Yeah.
That is locating your cozy, is just realizing I'm gonna take that break that I need right now. So yeah.
Amen. So then that's what you did. Because then when you came back, didn't you just go ahead and get somebody else to go ahead and do it? You
No,
said for your
that
website?
was even she was helping, I was overwhelmed.
Oh, okay.
Even she
Yes.
was helping because it was a lot to get done in a week, right? Like in a week and a half, I think it took us, but it was a lot to get done and to get it to the level that it's done. It was a lot. There was a
But
big
you
learning
did
curve.
it.
Exciting, right? But yeah,
That is so
I still
awesome.
needed
Well,
to
I'm
just
so proud of
take a
you.
break. And even she needed to just take a break. And so I'm like respectful of that too. So yeah.
Oh, this is your inspiration. You are a girlfriend. You have told a story. You have told your experience and have inspired so many women this evening. It's
Yeah.
a, well, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close it out for the evening?
If you just, I think I've said it, like if you're feeling stuck, reach out to somebody just so that you can get to that next step of the thing. And if you feel like you've done things wrong, that doesn't mean it's actually wrong. It may actually be like the fourth thing that we didn't talk about was buying that house. I didn't buy the house. And because and I didn't buy a house because I knew I didn't want to stay in the States. Right. And so I didn't want anything to make me be stuck in the States. And so just if you made a mistake or you think you made a mistake, you think you did it wrong, it may not actually be wrong. It may be absolutely perfect. And don't set rules. Check yourself. Check the things that you are using that you say you can't do it because it may just be a rule, which is like I can't do this until I do that, and I need to do this before I can do that. Like, nope, you can do it right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so what is that? I was just about to tell you something and it just went right out of my head. One of the um one of the things is like I do believe that you need to make sure that you have your budget and you're sitting down and you know what's going on. I don't believe necessarily that you have to be completely debt free before you make that move because I've come to realize since I don't pay $2,000 a month in rent anymore, and since I no longer have a car payment and no longer have car insurance, I'm
Mhm.
actually saving a whole lot of money. So I'm going to be out of completely debt free. Uh, Completely, I'd say like by summer 2025,
Yeah,
where everything will be paid off.
much
Yeah.
quicker. If debt is your reason for staying in the States, leave the States because you're going to pay that debt off much quicker living somewhere else.
Hmm.
Just health insurance. Like, right? So when people were like, well, what do you do for health insurance? And I was like, well, I tell people if I get sick, don't take me to the hospital, take me to the airport. Like, take me to the airport. I will fly back to France and they will treat me for 1/10 of the price of
Hmm.
American healthcare, right? From here, I wouldn't fly to France. From here, I would fly to Thailand or I would fly to even South Korea is cheaper than
Yeah.
that everywhere is cheaper than the States. But
Oh yeah.
so I have travel insurance, but health insurance, you don't need it. When in France, I would go to the doctor with no health insurance and I'd be like, how much do I owe you? And he's like, $28. oh, you don't have insurance? Oh, it's going to be $28. And I'm like, here, right? I had a day surgery where there was an anesthesiologist and the doctor and the clinic and everything. And he was like, oh, you don't have insurance? Well, it's normally $1,800, but I'll only charge you $1,500 for me to take this polyp out of your uterus. And I was like, yeah, let's do that
Wow.
right now. Right? Like, yeah, if you're sick, leave because you're going to get better, especially as a Black woman, you're going to get better care somewhere else for cheaper. Are you in debt? You're going to pay off your debt much quicker and faster. Like, what are the other reasons that people say they need to do it? Making money. You need so much less money when you like, oh, I need to have a job so I can pay. No, well, no, you don't. I see jobs listed and I'm like, are they paying that much money? And why would anybody need to make that much money? Like,
I like making my money. No, I ain't gonna lie. I like making my money.
if you want to do that, then great. But trust me, you can live out here on very little and live a very beautiful life. In the south of France, I think I was bringing in 1,500, and I had the hairdresser coming to my house, the chiropractor would come to my house, the massage therapists were coming to my house. I was having coffee all day with my friends because you just
Oh
don't
yeah.
like whatever your no is. Trust me, it's a yes as to why you should actually leave.
When the contract assignment that I just started, and they were like, I don't really think we need you for 40 hours a week. And I was like, cool. Okay.
Yeah, but you're still
we
gonna
we
pay.
negotiated like 30, anywhere between 24 and 32 hours and everything. He's like, it's really like, if you're just doing the project and it's being addressed and everything and stuff. And I was like, okay. And
Yes.
yeah, so I have not worked full time in what? It's been a year now. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, I did two full-time contracts last year in 2023. It was like one was 3 months and one was 4 months. And so that was full time. But then after that ended in December, the jobs that I've had since then have all been like part time.
Right.
And I
And it's
mean,
plenty.
I charge a lot for my services, but it's still part time. And I love it because it's a perfect it's so nice and balanced.
Okay.
One thing I was gonna say really fast before we go is with the mistakes, I say I don't make mistakes. I'm just constantly evolving and learning. I'm
Yes.
learning. It's just like it's just not a mistake. I just learned something that didn't work the way I thought it would and stuff, and now we're gonna keep moving forward.
Right.
Okay.
There are no mistakes, only experiences.
Yes. Yes, you
So
continue to learn and evolve.
I just want to say if you just things that I have to offer. So I created a special offer if somebody does want to have a conversation with me. I created a locating cozy coaching call for half price. So rather than the $50 for the 30 minutes, it's $25 for the 30 minutes.
Oh,
And then also I'll have to send you the link
oh,
because
okay. All right. Put that
I
in there.
didn't offer it to anybody and I remembered I needed to bring the link. But also gratitude's the key to magic. And so if you go to my website, there's a pop-up and it will give you 7 days of a gratitude journal. And you just
Oh,
upload it and print it off. Print it off because you want to write it out because when you dream of something, the process of writing it brings it actually into this realm, right? So like you can do it online, but it's still in the ethers. But if you print it out, so there's a picture of it. But if you print it out and write your gratitude journal, you can make your dreams start to manifest here on this plane. I'm a big
and
believer.
speak the truth and not just what you think society wants you to write. I talked about this just last week about how people sometimes in their own journals, will not speak their truths.
Yeah.
Speak your truths.
Yeah. One of the things Stephanie says is, I want to get paid for very little. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but I want to get paid to do nothing. I'm trying to figure it out. These affiliate links, I'm gonna get paid for doing nothing. Yeah. So
Well, Thank you so very much for spending this almost 2 hours with us. Oh man, thank you so much and everything. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning here. It's 2 o'clock in the
Oh,
afternoon your time. I'm still
yeah.
gonna be up for another because I have to like come down from the high of the whole experience here. But I thank you guys, and
Yeah.
please do make sure again that you do like and subscribe. I will have Melanie's updated information. Your Instagram and your YouTube are already in the description below, but I will
Yes.
actually add the other links in. But yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. Catch the replays. Make sure that you do give it thumbs up here. Do that. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Refer to a friend about how cool and awesome I am and how much fun I have talking to other people. And we're going to have another guest on next week. So, Melanie, please hold on. Please stand by. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Hold on.